Sandra, let's bring in Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, former National Security Advisor to Vice President Pence and the co-chairman of the American First Policy Institute, Center for American Security. We're at the touchscreen, General. This is the overview of Ukraine, and we can see that the amount of red on the screen that represents the areas under Russian control is beginning to increase, potentially here down in the south of the country, where forces coming up from Crimea have now taken the city of Kherson. They're also moving toward Mariupol here in the northeast. Mariupol, according to the deputy mayor there, has been under bombardment for some 26 hours. There also apparently are reports of fighting in and around the area of Enerhodar, which is where the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant is. That's the biggest nuclear power plant in all of Europe. And then, General, as far as we know, the plan ultimately for Russian forces would be to sort of hook west and then west-southwest to surround the city of Odessa. That would give them control of the entire Black Sea coast of Ukraine. What kind of an advantage would that give them as they then try to move on through the rest of the country here?
Yeah, John, well, thanks for having me. Well, look, Odessa is important. It's the third largest city, and if they take that, they've got sea access. I think, though, what we're actually seeing is actually not the beginning of the end, but the end of the beginning. We're looking at new stages, and the stages that we're going to watch, and we should watch very carefully, is Putin going into Kiev and Kharkiv and taking those cities down by massive bombardment. Look, years ago, when I was in Europe, I took a special team into Sarajevo when General Morion was there with the UN Protection Force, the UNPROFOR, and got on the ground and was watching heavy artillery just demolish the city of Sarajevo from the heights around the city. And I came back into European Command and said, look, get ready, we're going to go in there. And everybody told me, no, we're not going to do that. It's not going to happen. Well, we went in. And I think when you start to see the images of heavy bombardment coming in on especially the capital city, I think the people of the world are going to say, well, this may have gone too far. And I think that earlier comment about a no-fly zone on the western part of Ukraine may start to take effect. And that may, I understand what Brett said earlier about this kind of raises the game and raising the odds. But look, sooner or later, the people of the world are going to say, look, this has gone way too far. Remember, when the Bosnian Civil War ended, we took Mladic, who was the senior general of the Bosnian Serbs, and Karadzic, who was the president, and we brought him up on war crime charges. And you're reaching a point now where the bombardment of a city like that of Kiev is in fact a war crime. So we're at the start of a brand new phase, and it's going to be really interesting to watch how the world reacts to when you start seeing these video images of a city, a modern city, being destroyed by a predator nation of Russia. And how are they going to react? And I'm not too sure that the jury's out on that. And if I was President Biden, I would have taken my advisors, put them in a room and said, you come up with every option you've got, to the worst to the best. And basically, like they do in poker, this may be all in.
Yeah. Well, you know, this idea of a no-fly zone certainly is something that keeps getting pushed by Ukrainian parliament members, but they want a no-fly zone over the entire country. One other thing that I wanted to run by you real quickly is, I don't know if you saw Ambassador Volker, and we talked with Brett Baer about this just a second ago, but here's the convoy that is, this is just a small part of it. And this goes for 40 miles northwest of Kiev, all the way up to the Belarusian border. Ambassador Volker was suggesting that we've got some A-10 Warthogs that are about to be decommissioned. Why don't we just send them over to Ukraine? I mean, can you imagine the shooting gallery that an A-10 pilot would have in this environment? But again, like a no-fly zone, is that a provocation that leads to other things that you don't want to have happen?
Yeah, you know, I'm looking at, I bet you there's some U.S. Air Force pilots out there salivating and wanting to change their citizenship to Ukrainian right about now so they can get in with the A-10 Warthogs. Look, we did that in World War II with the Eagle Squadron in England when we sent American pilots in to fly for the RAF. We did it in China when we had the Flying Tigers that were American volunteers. You may see something like that. I mean, that is an impressive target to try to take out. But sooner or later, we're going to have to make some hard choices. And the president is going to have to do that. He's going to have to be, what I said earlier, he's going to have to become a wartime president. Whether he likes it or not, we're kind of there.
All right, General Kellogg, we'll see where this goes. It looks like it's going to take a lot longer than a lot of people thought it would. We'll have you around for a while. General Keith Kellogg, thank you. Sandra.